Nothing like talking about hentai in the morning. So Patreon, recently under fire. Why? Because hentai artists are claiming that their posts and their Patreon accounts are being taken down unfairly due to the content they're posting. And it all starts here from a Twitter post where they claim that Patreon was actually taking down hentai of theirs because of it allegedly including minors, which is against Patreon's guidelines. And the idea is this person had a discussion with them trying to explain to them, no, they're not minors, to which they responded with, well, they're drawn in a way that looks like a child because they're drawn in an anime style. Whenever something's drawn in an anime style with those big eyes and cute faces, it looks like a child. Therefore, this is being labeled as being against our guidelines because we don't allow sexual depictions of minors. And not too long afterwards, some other people came out and started saying, yeah, the same exact thing happened to me from my art. They claimed that even if you drew them with, mature female features, they would still be classified as minors just because of the art style. So naturally, this got a lot of people scared. There are a lot of hentai artists out there who use Patreon, and if they can't draw characters in that style anymore because it'll just be automatically classified as being a minor, then they won't be able to make money from Patreon anymore. But even more so, even if it's not hentai, what if you just draw an anime character who looks sexy? What if she's just in a really cute outfit? Will that be classified as a sexual depiction of a minor? That classic slippery slope. We know that Amazon has been banning anime figurines because they think that those were sexual and they weren't really sexual. So people are scared that Patreon is just gonna straight up ban all anime. And of course Patreon responded to this. We'd like to clarify a recent rumor about our guidelines. We do not limit any specific style like anime of art, but our guidelines do not allow sexual depictions of minors. And as far as this claim that Patreon would automatically assume anything in an anime style would be a minor, they responded directly to this. We do not automatically consider anime style characters to be minors. And once again, they keep on telling you to go to the guidelines and read the guidelines. Now, I have actually looked at the guidelines. You can find them under 18 plus creations. You will find that they are really confusing. Seems like they're very non-committal with how they put out these guidelines. They don't really have that much clarity with what you can do and what you can't do. So for the most part, you'll have to just ask them if this is okay. So something that you'll find interesting on these guidelines is you can post nude pictures of yourself. You can just start up a Patreon called Nude Dan Fan and just post nude pictures of yourself. That is 100% A-okay with Patreon. As long as you are not posting anything specifically pornographic, such as you masturbating or having sex with someone. But if you just post a nude picture of yourself, then it doesn't matter what's happening on the other side of the screen. That's a-okay because you're not doing anything. Now, according to what it says underneath pornography, hentai is allowed. The pornography that's not allowed is just real people having sex and real people masturbating. Where you'll actually find guidelines for hentai is under offensive and graphic creations. And I'll read this to its full context because you're going to find this very interesting. We understand that artists sometimes have to push boundaries to create thought-provoking art, so we don't review offensive and graphic creations with strict black and white guidelines. Yeah, that seems like a good idea. So right away they say, yeah, we're going to make this vague and not clear what you can and can't do. Instead, we review them in context of the whole creator page. However, we have zero tolerance when it comes to the glorification of sexual violence, which includes bestiality, rape, and child exploitation. This is true for illustrated, animated, and any other type of creations. We also do not allow other fringe sexual fetish creations, such as incest, necrophilia, or fetish creations that is hard to distinguish from non-consensual sex. So if they can't tell if it's consensual, it's rape. So the thing about these guidelines is Patreon is basically saying, We're the ones who are going to decide whether or not your art is to be taken in this type of context. So when it comes to bestiality, we're the ones who are going to decide whether or not cat girls are okay, or if that's crossing a line. When it comes to rape, we're the ones who are going to decide whether or not your character is being raped. When it comes to child exploitation, we're the ones who are going to decide what age your characters are. Now, obviously, this is going to create some problems with Patreon and their users, especially when it comes to anime. There are a lot of characters in anime that are going to look a lot younger than they actually are. A good example would be lollies. Lollies are just short, very petite and skinny women. They look like children, so Patreon can just decide, even if this is a 30-year-old woman, she's a child, and she's being raped because she's not smiling while having sex. And of course, a lot of art is subjective. People will have other opinions how old a character actually looks to them. Some people will look at a lolly and be like, oh, well, she's 12. And some people will look at her and be like, she's probably 18. And some people will be like, she's clearly 365 years old. And I just kind of find it humorous that they say, hey, pornography with real people isn't allowed because that's too much. However, hentai is allowed because that's just a cartoon. No one gets hurt in hentai. They're just cartoon fictional characters. But also, you can't do any of this because that hurts people. Like I said before, the whole thing just seems kind of non-committal. It's like they can't commit to the bit. They can't say, yes, hentai is okay, or no, hentai is not okay. They have to do this kind of, sort of. And I think if Patreon worked towards having that clarity, people wouldn't be nearly as upset as they are right now. Because when you have artists coming out and saying that Patreon is claiming their art is of children because it's drawn in an anime style, people are going to naturally get upset, not only because their artistic income is being taken away from them, but also because they're basically being accused of drawing child pornography. Now, is anime actually being banned from Patreon? No. The artists who are saying that their posts are getting taken down are hentai creators. It seems like it's mostly hentai that's being suppressed. But like I said, people are just worried that it's going to be a slippery slope. Sexual depiction of minors will be extended further than just hentai. It'll be like outfits. I don't know, maybe just sexual humor. We all know that anime is chock full of sexual humor. And if that starts happening, it's just going to keep on extending and extending and extending until all the anime is gone. But for now, I say that the majority of anime is probably safe on Patreon. Obviously, Patreon has super shitty guidelines. They're very non-committal, they're very vague, but it has been like this for a while now, and it just hasn't gotten any attention because nobody had issues with it until they started getting flagged themselves. I do know that people are taking this very seriously though, and seeing Patreon as this Puritan website that's trying to burn all the anime until it's all gone. I do have a Patreon myself. I haven't had any problems with them personally, but for those of you who do donate on Patreon, if you are no longer comfortable donating to my Patreon, I do have a subscribe star set up. I got them both, so you have the option where to donate, and I would encourage more people to allow that option, because whenever a business starts getting cocky, we all have the right to jump ship somewhere else. So let me know what you think of this Patreon purge. Do you feel like they're in the right? Do you feel like maybe they should have clearer guidelines so people know what to do? Any and all thoughts that you have, let me know down below in the comments section. And of course, as usual, remember to like the video. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!
Program restart. Shutting down all systems.